Crypto has a nasty habit of bringing the absolute biggest opportunities to your doorstep when the industry is at its peak boring. And oh, my friends, is crypto boring right now. We're talking obscure college sports on ESPN 8 boring. I'd honestly rather watch an elderly game of bingo than this current price action. Crypto is so boring. It's like the 12th episode of Andrew Huberman podcast on Sunlight, where each episode is between 3 and 6 hours depending on how much he hates the audience that day. It's like the UFC without punching or kicking, and they had to settle their disputes with words. Crypto right now feels like you're in a drive-thru between that first window where you pay and that second window where you get your food, and it just lasts forever and ever and ever. In fact, the market is so boring that the most interesting thing right now happening on crypto Twitter is a fantasy card game about crypto Twitter. I kid you not, but pretty much every influencer on the timeline is talking about how this particular game is going to lead to mass adoption of crypto, and the great irony of the situation seems to be lost on just about everybody, including me, because I'll be talking a little bit about that game as we get deeper into the episode. Yes, it's true, the market has slowed down so much that I find myself writing self-help tweets about body fat percentage and even entrepreneurship. We desperately need a pump here, or else I'm going to turn into the Walmart version of Alex Becker. Or so I thought. That's right, since filming this video just a few hours ago and having my editor Chris, shout out to Chris, smash like if you enjoyed the ridiculous editing that you just saw by Chris. For real, we're talking about a master of his craft. Show him some love in the comments. But since I filmed this video, literally everything has changed. What you're gonna see in a second is that although it's been really boring, we've seen some of the biggest political changes in the entire history of crypto just now. It might seem small, but in my opinion, it's absolutely massive. So hold on for that. But in addition to political changes, we've now seen a dose of excitement come back into the crypto world that reminds us of one of the glory days of both crypto and investing globally. That's right, if you've seen the movie Dumb Money, the one that hit Netflix, it was about the meme stock revolution, where effectively a bunch of degens online ended up bankrupting some of the biggest hedge funds on Wall Street, and they had to call in backup to put an end to it. This was all started by an account called Roaring Kitty, who just tweeted for the first time in years, since 2021, he tweeted this image of someone leaning forward. Let's go ahead and show the full image. Someone leaning forward in a chair with a game controller. Now, of course, he was famous for pumping the game stock price up over 40x from the bottom, making his total net worth at one point in excess of $40 million. And this has led to GME, GameStop, pumping over 111% in just one day. Now you have Dave Portnoy coming out. You have all of this meme stock mania from 2021 resurging, including AMC, the other meme stock that went crazy during this period. And let's just be real, everyone here in crypto that's trading this alternative financial system is doing it partly as a way to get back at a system that has left us behind. We are all Roaring Kitty to a degree. And this guy, as much as he was a symbol of a very dumb movement, was not a dumb guy. He understood very well the dynamics at hand. And if he's right again, and we're at the beginning of yet another meme stock rally, well, do you know what happened right after the meme stock rally? All right, just so you guys can see this here, we have January of 2021. This was the pico top of the meme stock rally. And ever since then, it bounced around, but it never quite got back up there. As you can see, if I move my face here, we're making another run up there for the first time in years. This is definitely a return to life. But what you may not realize is that the real rally that started around Dogecoin, well, that also started right as the top of GME was put in. Here you see the end of January 2021. That's when GME really topped and then completely crashed here into February. And if you look at Dogecoin, effectively the big run on Dogecoin started right as GME was crashing here towards the end of January. There was absolutely a connection between a massive audience of Wall Street bets degens trying to bet on GameStop and break the system that way, eventually getting halted on trading and having an unfair invisible hand stop their rally. That's exactly what happened if you saw the movie. And that's exactly what happened again today. Trading on GME was halted not once, not twice, but 9 times throughout the day. That's right, the big boys are not letting the meme stock revolution take place. So where do you think all of that pent-up aggression and capital and attention is going to flow? That's right, it is boring no more, because we are starting to see the rebirth of the meme investing mania. That was one of the biggest catalysts to bring new attention into crypto that we've ever seen. And in my opinion, it could be the beginning of what's happening all over again. Now we're gonna get back to this video because the rest of the video is still good, but just ignore the parts if I mention again that it was ever boring, because just like we've seen in crypto, that can change in a split second. As I explain here, in literally hours, we went from boring and maybe a little bit politically unsafe to politically popular. That's right, as we'll talk here, the waves are shifting and the Democratic Party is not ready to wave the white flag on crypto just yet. Just because a few loud voices, who we all know who they are, well, they're not the entire party, and there's enough sensible voices that yes, I dare say that I think crypto will become politically popular. More on that in a second. Price might not go up instantly, but based on the totality of what I'm saying here throughout this video, I believe we're in for quite a run. Now back to the original video I had made. Future Elliot is gonna pop in one more time at the end of this video to add some spice to this. But of course, in these moments is when the max opportunity tends to arise. As we can see here, this is Crown's video where he's talking about the marginal cost for a Bitcoin. The cost to produce a Bitcoin, of course, which is sitting just under $60,000. And scarcely in its history has Bitcoin ever violated this marginal production cost metric. Now listen to what he says here.
And while Bitcoin could very easily come down here, and I'd be completely lying to you if I didn't say that just chart wise, it wouldn't surprise me if it does take a little tumble below 60,000 bucks this week. But as we've been going over for the past week now, if Bitcoin is going to have downside, these first 2 weeks, or these first, actually, I guess it's more like 3 weeks of May would be the time to be doing that. So we're kind of in the heart of the storm right now. And with Bitcoin already kind of flirting around this number, still a little bit above, I would say that any sort of, dump below that, below about 60,000 bucks in this next week or a week and a half is probably going to be an opportunity long term.
It's crazy because crypto's gotten so boring, and yet we're still hovering right around those opportunity zones that we've been talking about for now like a month and a half. Since we really fell out of that up-only structure, we've been saying that anything under 60K is just a level that will be long-term very opportunistic. Now, exactly when we go onwards and upwards to the sky, that seems like it's slowing down, and it might actually get pushed towards later in the year, which of course is long-term very bullish because the longer this cycle takes, typically the higher it will go. However, of course, that forces us once again to wait. So download that Headspace app, get into your Zen zone, and in my opinion, it's time to set buy targets on your favorite coins and probably just embrace that it might be a little bit slower to ultimately reach the hallowed land of multi-$100,000 Bitcoin and of course skyrocketing altcoins. But the fact of the matter is there's actually one thing happening this week that is insanely interesting. It's so interesting and so magnificently big that I think it's being lost on this particular crypto community that has been beaten down with boredom over the past few weeks to months in such a disgusting way that people aren't even excited about what could be the biggest change coming to crypto since its inception. And that, my friends, is actually politics. So about a week and a half ago, we got some very devastating news, some extremely scary news, and this was a statement from the executive office of the president. This came out on May 8th. Effectively, they were saying that if this law, SAB 121, which effectively allows for big companies, I believe it allows for banks and big publicly traded companies to possess and custody Bitcoin. The White House came out and said, no way, we're not going to let this through under any circumstances. If this bill passes, meaning that it would be pro-crypto, that they'll just straight up veto it. Doesn't matter what Congress thinks, doesn't matter what the House thinks, they're going to veto it. And it didn't take long for crypto Twitter to go into a full panic mode saying, hey, look, this is an all-out war. This is no longer masked. You have the office of the president saying we're here to kill crypto. And of course, the very next day just happened to be this crypto meetup for the NFT trading cards of Donald Trump. That's right. We saw Donald Trump for the first time actually have a crypto-focused meetup. And at that meetup, Trump makes a very specific comment for everyone who's wondering where he stands on crypto.
They are against it. Biden doesn't even know what it is. If you ask Biden, sir, are you for or against crypto? What's that? What the? Get me off the stage. He's saying, get me off the stage. No, he has no idea. But look, Gensler is very much against it. The Democrats are very much against it. And I say this, a lot of people are very much for it, probably a lot of the people in this group, and I'm fine with it. I want to make sure it's good and solid and everything else, but I'm good with it. And if you like crypto in any form, and it comes in a lot of different forms, if you're in favor of crypto, you better vote for Trump.
So there he is, in no uncertain terms, stating his support for crypto. Of course, let's just address the elephant in the room. He was very staunchly anti-crypto and Bitcoin back in 2019. I think a lot has changed, and quite frankly, I think a lot of people close to him have communicated the importance of this movement, not only for business in America, but as a wedge issue politically, that there's enough of support that he could bring over key voters into his camp. And like I told you guys many months ago, this will be the first crypto election. and it's shaping up to be exactly that. Because after this happened, we saw a domino effect of political reactions. And this one will shock you because many people will just be saying, he's going to say whatever he wants to get elected. And that's obviously true. Politicians say whatever they want to get elected. However, we have one side being openly, disgustingly, horrifically anti-crypto, trying to shut it down, not abiding by laws or any kind of due process, just trying to shut the industry down. And the other side is embracing it. So regardless of where you stand, if crypto is a big part of your lifestyle, as it is to me, it's forcing you into one side of the aisle. But there's actually now a glimmer of hope that this could become a bipartisan issue, which would be the absolute most bullish thing for crypto, because we all know if there's only one side of the political aisle that supports a movement, well, then you might get 4 years of good times followed by another 4, maybe even 8 years of extreme hostility towards the industry once the powers flip-flop, which they always do. One of the most outspoken business-focused liberals, Mark Cuban, actually said, hey, look, he's responding to Paul Grewal here, saying you should require the candidates that you support to commit to replacing Gensler and publish that list. This is a very different opinion than you normally see from people out of the liberal camp, who are typically very supportive of Biden. But this is when the dominoes started to fall. You have here Trump's comments that night, leading to a Politico article where effectively it says crypto is Trump's new weapon against Biden. Replying to this particular article, Mark Cuban does a long-form tweet where he explains if Joe Biden loses, there's a good chance you'll be able to thank Gary Gensler and the SEC. Crypto is a mainstay with younger and independent voters. Gensler has not protected a single investor against fraud. All he's done is make it nearly impossible for legitimate crypto companies to operate, killing who knows how many businesses and ruining who knows how many entrepreneurs. This is a warning to Congress. Crypto voters will be heard this election. You could solve this problem for Biden by passing legislation that defines registration that is specific to the crypto industry, just as other industries have registration that is defined for them. Or you could do the better option and assign all crypto to be regulated by the CFTC. They actually know what they are doing. Now, many of you might say, oh no, there's not really a crypto voting population, but in fact, there is. And this is precisely the time in the context of a political election, a presidential election, that the core issues will start to really surface and sides will start to be taken. And if crypto is going to be a wedge issue, what the polls are saying is that there are many voters that will simply vote with crypto, even if they don't endorse the larger policies of that party. As Keith Grossman here explains, crypto is actually the best option for those left behind by traditional financial institutions. In a world where 69% of Americans are dissatisfied with the current financial system, folks are turning to other options where they have power instead of big banks. Crypto owners are actually a much bigger segment of the electorate than is often appreciated by policymakers. A fifth, 20% of the country, is not a niche subgroup. Ownership of crypto is even higher amongst communities of color and among young. 40% of men 18 to 54, shout out to the EllioTrades audience, and 33% of African Americans and 32% of Hispanics currently own, have traded, or used cryptocurrency in 2024, compared to 20% and 22% last year. Those are extremely exciting numbers. When you understand what's at stake this election, it's very clear that crypto is going to make its way to the tippy top of the presidential debate table. And that, my friends, is as bullish of a turning point in this particular climate, which has been nothing but hostility from the powers that be against crypto. Well, this is the type of move that is going to lift this industry into a spotlight where persecution will no longer be tolerated and new, clearer laws of the road can be laid out for crypto entrepreneurs and crypto holders to follow, to know that they're in the clear and to participate in the most important financial innovation and revolution that we will have in our lifetimes, hands down. There is no bigger opportunity. Keeping Americans out of crypto is the most net negative move that a government can do. Period. Simple things you can do if you want to help crypto really quickly. Check out @StandWithCrypto. It's got 440,000 members. They're trying to reach 1 million by the time of the election, and they'll have more actionable steps for you to take there. The political sea change here is immense. And now understanding that, it's time to jump into what's actually going on with markets, which is also quite interesting to look at. Now, the boredom is real, and it's actually showing up here in the numbers as well. YouTube views are back to bear market levels. So if you feel like things have regressed quite a bit, well, they have. And the retail, the average people who weren't here during the bear market, grinding, putting in the work, collecting coins, actually focused on this industry, they've gone once again. They were touristic last time when they left during the bear market, and they're tourists again. So this means that while we're up 10, sometimes 15x or more on certain bear market assets, some of the darlings of this channel, things have been reset. The FOMO has been reset. And that means that there is a lot more legs to go much, much higher in due time. But this is actually something that's been bothering me. There's not really a new narrative. Remember in 2020, we had DeFi. It was all the rage. It was brand new. People were wondering how it was going to impact the world. Then we got NFTs and we got metaverse, all of these new things that simply weren't around before and caused a flurry of innovation-focused attention and investment. We haven't really seen that. I mean, really, the main thing we've seen here is memes. And don't get me wrong, memes are cool and all, but I don't think people look at memes as changing the world in any specific way. Now, if you ask me, all roads effectively lead back to crypto gaming, because gaming is the one thing that has been in the oven baking, and it's truly a consumer use case app that is ready to be adopted at scale. Again, you won't hear me faltering on my thesis around gaming. It is simply the easiest thing that I can think of that seems like a sure bet in crypto. Of course, nothing in crypto is a full sure bet. We know that. However, this actually makes me quite bullish because we've made it all the way here without any driving narrative on tech, innovation, investment, changes. Obviously, there's AI, but AI is largely still in meme format. But again, we'll get to specific assets and how I'm viewing them towards the end of the episode. I just wanted to share this with you because it's been kind of eating away at me that there's not really any driving narrative here. And while again, that's contributed to more boredom, to more negativity, I think that leaves a huge blue ocean of innovation ahead of us for once we do kick off new narratives. But alas, despite the boredom, despite the lack of narrative, we have not only a political sea change, but we also have a massive liquidity sea change. We all know that Bitcoin is effectively an expression of the global liquidity. It's just all the money out there in the world is expressed through Bitcoin to a degree. And Peruvian Bull here is saying, literally called it, the Fed has to open up a swap line and then flood them with dollars, bailouts for nation states, further increasing global liquidity. Effectively, what we're seeing here is that Japan is being bailed out more or less by the United States. The US is preventing a collapse of the yen. A collapse of the yen would force them to increase interest rates. Those interest rates would force Japanese money to leave the US treasuries and come back on shore, and it would be net negative for the US economy. That's the overall perception here. The US is now bailing out Japan, further increasing the amount of dollars that they're putting out in the world. Simply put, more dollars because of this. More dollars usually means higher price of Bitcoin. Speaking of more dollars, we now have senators introducing even more bills to eliminate all medical debt. It's all student debt, all medical debt. Not only that, we're seeing a $3 trillion stimulus that could be injected into the US economy, again, without increasing any federal spending, but that, of course, is fancy footing around the issue. Because what they're doing is effectively allowing Freddie Mac to start purchasing second mortgages and packaging them up into bonds, effectively more leverage against more debt in the housing sector. And remember, the net effect here, you don't have to understand what this does. Just know it's allowing people to pull more money out of the same amount of assets. It increases risk and leverage in the system, and it also increases the amount of money in the system, aka more money, right? You have more money going out to Japan. You have more money going out to alleviate student debt, medical debt, whatever promises politicians are making to make things easier on the everyday person. Those all lead to just more money in the system. Again, the one thing we can count on forever and ever and ever is that there's more money coming. Until there's a massive change in this fiat system, there's more money coming. And if there's more money coming, Bitcoin is bound to go up. And a nice visualization of this has been published by my buddy TED Talks Macro here. Check him out. He said this cross-border cap 65-month liquidity cycle theory perfectly synchronized with crypto liquidity. As you can see here, it's saying that the next cycle high is due in June 2026. That would mean that in June 26, that's a long time from now, over 2 years from now, we would see the actual high in global liquidity, which apparently marked the exact high of the last cycle. Whether you believe in this stuff or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is that most likely equities are going to parity this almost exactly. As you can see here, based on the green oscillator on the bottom, this is showing the negative versus positive increases in global liquidity. And it's very clear here that we're just at the foothills of the new liquidity injection cycle. We've been hearing about rate cuts and rate cuts and rate cuts. Well, we haven't seen any. In fact, there's now estimations that we might actually see rate increases out of the Federal Reserve because inflation is remaining sticky. Again, there are so many catalysts for more global liquidity in the future. We know we can't keep rates this high for that much longer. So at a certain point, the liquidity is going to increase at a more rapid pace as soon as inflation lets them do it. My point is that a tidal wave of money is coming. And this is still under the Joe Biden administration, under Jerome Powell, under Gary Gensler. Things are still doing really, really well. But can you imagine if there's a Trump victory, Trump replaces Jerome Powell and Gary Gensler, and we get an absolute slam down in interest rates, as well as an accommodative or downright friendly SEC to work with to launch the future of cryptographic technology right here in the United States? Yes, despite the boredom that we all feel right now in the crypto industry, there is a lot to be excited about. Not to mention a few of the world's biggest banks, including Wells Fargo and JP Morgan, being forced to disclose that they hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And although we do joke about memes, obviously they're a very popular thing right now and seem like they're only growing in popularity, so there's something that must be understood. As we're seeing, Van Eck is now actually creating a meme coin index, listing 6 assets in the index as Dogecoin, Shiba, Pepe, Dog with Hat, Floki, Inu, and Bonk. Obviously, we've talked about with Dogecoin, Dog with Hat, and Bonk. We've never talked about Floki or Shiba on the channel. And remember that meme coin launching website I told you about, pump.fun? Well, yeah, they're actually doing more revenue than Uniswap, more revenue than one of the biggest crypto unicorns in the entire history of the industry. And that's just a website to launch meme coins with no code. Yes, we've stumbled into a very degenerate part of the cycle. So what does it all mean, and how am I positioning over the course of this very boring, very boring next few weeks, and potentially very even boring summer in cryptocurrency land? Well, let's get to that. But first, I do want to talk about NordVPN. Now, this is the only sponsor on this channel for a very good reason. Last summer, I was hacked, I was SIM swapped. It was a terrible experience, and a lot of the information used to SIM swap me was stuff that was leaked because I was not using a VPN. I wasn't controlling my information output properly. Now, NordVPN is pretty much the only product that I think absolutely everybody needs to get started here in crypto land. It's only a few dollars a month, and it could save you from extremely costly negative outcomes. A VPN can actually protect you from leaking your passwords and data if you're using Wi-Fi while you travel, at hotels, whatever it might be. Essentially, browsing the internet as a crypto user without a VPN is one of the dumbest things you can do, period. And you can fix that for just literally $2 a month. Check the link in the description of this video. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, literally completely free to try out. I'm using NordVPN right now, literally always when I'm on this computer, and I highly encourage you to do the same. It also supports the channel. I appreciate it, and thank you to Nord for sponsoring the video. And again, one final little mention here, but we have Wagey Farm, t.me/Wagey Farm. The link is in the description. If you're looking to potentially get a job in crypto, you're a hustler, you're a grinder, you're an entrepreneur, you want to actually contribute to this industry, get a real role at a real project, get paid well to put your heart and soul into crypto, Wagey Farm. It's a new little chat room I've created where we're picking talent and promoting them through the ranks and seeing who we actually want to hire here. So you could potentially work with me, be in chats with me, at the very least get connected and interact with me directly in this chat room. So check out Wagey Farm if you're interested in what I'm calling the work to earn revolution. Yes, it's going to change the internet. Okay, now for the meat of the altcoin episode. We're going to talk about coins and how I see them. Largely, my opinions have not changed. So just understand the category leaders that I've identified in gaming, memes, and AI. Those are by far the absolute best coins to focus on. You see this rearing its head again with Akash having absolutely insane volume the other day and near all-time highs. This is because there is no bigger narrative than semiconductors, than AI, than this rise of this new technology. And so cryptos that are in the AI niche are going to be extremely pumpy, extremely hot. And again, Akash is one of the best ones out there. I highly encourage you to get some Akash and feel free to stake it to the EllioTrades new validator. I've been a validator on the Akash network for years now, and I'm just a big supporter of this project. And look at this chart. I mean, over the last year, the thing is just an absolute monster, and it looks like it just wants to go for more. I would be shocked if during a full-blown bull run, this thing doesn't, 5 or 10x from here. And again, we've been covering this since sub-dollar. So if it does 10x from here, we'd be looking at like a 50x or more on a top quality coin. You cannot tell me that you have to go dumpster diving for quality when you have coins like Akash that we've been covering. I think I covered it at like 20 or 30 cents last cycle. This is the kind of stuff that can be life-changing, and all it requires for you to do is understand quality coins and sit on them until the narratives catch fire. Now, as we get to the main new altcoin narrative section, we're going to be doing something a little different, where I'm going to be creating something that is more uniquely tailored towards the X or Twitter community. So welcome to the first episode of the X-Files. Without a doubt, the hottest topic on crypto Twitter, or X, the last week or so has been a fantasy trading card game where effectively you're collecting and playing fantasy cards of crypto Twitter accounts. Now, the way this works is effectively people are trying to make a deck of heroes. These heroes are crypto Twitter accounts, literally random anons. I don't think anyone is even listed here under their real name. Maybe I'm the only one, but you have people like Greg, and then you can see how many tweets they've had, their impressions, their likes, etc. And based on how they tweet, you can effectively bet on this crypto Twitter personality to perform well. You can think of it as like this card is like your fantasy basketball player. Instead of points, assists, and rebounds, you have, likes and retweets and stuff. Now, like with all crypto Twitter things, as soon as they show any sign of promise, people start hailing that this is going to be the source of mass adoption. Now, I will say that, to be honest, I don't actually know who most of these people are. So what I found that's actually useful about this particular game is by following these heroes, I was able to actually expose myself to more types of content creators creators than I had before. Of course, there are some people who are very, very Twitter obsessed. I'm pretty lazy with my Twitter. I'll tweet maybe once or twice a day, but there's people who are tweeting like 50 times a day here. And so there's actually some really good Twitter accounts if you're looking for some new accounts to follow. That's definitely been the biggest takeaway. What I will say though is that it seems as though crypto Twitter is desperate for a consumer application. And while I personally see a lot of issues in the way crypto social applications are going to struggle to onboard mainstream users. And the reason is this: the actual business model doesn't scale past whales and degens. You see, you're welcome to sign up. You need a referral code to sign up for this, and you can use my code EllioTrades. But I'm just going to be honest with you. It costs about 0.427 ETH to just buy one pack. And I'll buy one pack here so you can just go ahead and see. I'll go ahead and buy this pack and I'll open it. Okay, so I guess I don't know, did I get charged for that? Okay, hard refresh. Let's see if I can hard refresh this. Nope. Did I get, yeah, I did pay. Wait, what? It took my money. Can I open up the pack? Oh man. All right, I don't know if these are, oh, did I get myself? I got myself. Nice. Got it. So it didn't show it very well. It crashed a little bit here. New stuff. Respect, it still says it's in beta. But essentially what I have here is a bunch of common green cards, and I guess these have some kind of power to them. Now, I can trade any of these, so these are effectively NFTs, and this is all happening on the Blast L2. But essentially what I can do is I can also play these like Pokemon cards. So, you know, these commons will have a slightly lower power. There's different rarities. You can get common, rare, epic, and legendary. And then I would play these. I would collect, and I can play 5 cards at a time, and then I go and do battle against others. So effectively, it's like a card game where you collect cards and then you play your best hand, and it's quite clearly pay to win because you can buy and trade the best cards. But what makes it actually fun, why people are liking it, is that you're actually able to farm blast gold through this. So you're not just setting up a card game and playing, you have a token coming for the fantasy top game, which is going to be called the fan token, as well as you're farming extra points that are being incentivized by the Blast L2. So you're sort of double farming here, and that's why people are doing it very degenerately. Now, I'll say the prices of the cards seem like they're very, very high right now. I'd assume that they'd probably come down dramatically over time. I wouldn't be looking at these as sound investments, and I really have no idea what's going on here. However, I wanted to point this out because I think this really embodies what I see as 2 huge lessons and takeaways. 1, SocialFi is clearly a trend that people will be betting on. So if you want to follow the degen money, it's kind of traveled from AI right now over to SocialFi. SocialFi is one of these rotating narratives that I believe will interplay with memes and games. It doesn't quite fall into the gaming category. It follows more to me into the consumer app category. There's clearly a very strong hunger for a consumer app in crypto, and SocialFi seems like a natural fit because crypto largely thrives on social media. My problem here is that the best crypto content creators would rather have no money and a bigger audience than a ton of money and a smaller audience. So once you introduce the friction of actually having to pay to interact with these social ecosystems, it takes away the actual size of the audience that is most beneficial to creators. So that's my biggest issue, is that the business model around SocialFi needs to be completely reimagined so it can actually scale to include billions of users. I do believe that SocialFi has some future. I just don't think we're going to figure out what it is anytime soon. That said, I do think it's important to farm these things, and whatever as a creator EllioTrades on these SocialFi platforms I end up farming, I'll go ahead and distribute in fun ways to the community. Again, I like playing with things and I like involving the audience in these things as long as we have our eyes open, not seeing this as the future of France or something that's going to change the world, but we should be toying with these innovations, playing with them, understanding them, and whatever I earn as a creator, I'll try to reflect that value back in my audience. I care much more about maximizing the size of my audience and creating unique opportunities for all you guys out there than a few extra tokens in some random app. Anyways, I'll be playing with this stuff and letting you know how it goes. But again, this leads me back to another important realization. There is no real new innovation, and SocialFi is probably the closest thing we've seen to it in the past few years. But again, the consumer app that I believe will be successful here is crypto gaming. It's the closest to a product that people will actually use that are just normies. And in fact, it's better than Web2 gaming in many, many ways. Whereas SocialFi right now, I could see as being objectively worse for a lot of normal users than traditional social media, which is just free. All of this is to say that this leads me back to believing even more staunchly and strongly that crypto gaming is the future of this industry. As we're seeing Bitcoin struggle here to stay above the 60K range, if it may take a little bit of a tumble, looking at charts that have consolidated dramatically and are really trying to create bottoms here that are going to be, in my opinion, strong bottoms for the future. You see, if we're right about this crypto cycle lasting for a year or two, the actual price support we're creating creating around Bitcoin here at 60,000 and wherever these altcoins are right now, I believe that these coins, if we do get a cycle that takes Bitcoin over 100K, I believe that the prices we're seeing will probably not be revisited. This is a very strong bottom that's being created around 60K. All this price support, insane amounts of buying and selling. It's also just below the prior cycle all-time high of $69,000. And general logic is that those 2 points would be insanely strong support. So if we're thinking about buying stuff and not ever having to sell it in the future, I think we're looking at really good value zones for crypto, not just in Bitcoin, but across the board in strong altcoin sectors, specifically in gaming, AI, and memes. Those are the 3 categories I find most important on this particular run. Looking at gaming, we're seeing blue chips effectively really settling into value zones. I believe that this narrative is a sleeping giant, and you're just seeing so many good coins here. Again, in between each episode, you have to be paying attention to the Superverse Twitter. There's a reason why the project has been so resilient during this period, and that's because it literally keeps adding elite game after elite game. Most recently, Nyan Heroes, which has 1.3 million users and 600,000 active user wallets. It's among the most played games in the world right now, and they're joining Superverse, integrating the Super Token, and doing all kinds of super cool stuff. You're definitely going to want to check this out. Nyan Heroes is easily one of the most polished and most interesting looking games with an absolutely star-studded rockstar team. Previous Riot Games guys, absolute killers on this team, and the gameplay looks super fun. It looks like Overwatch kind of vibes. It's got this fun sort of kitty cat meta. I find it memey and cool and fun looking. Again, this is exactly what we want to see for games that have potential to take over and go mainstream. And quite possibly one of the most anticipated announcements that I've been dying to get out to you is the fact that Endless Clouds, aka the creators of Treeverse and Capsule Heroes, have both joined in the Superverse ecosystem, and Super Token will be integrated into these games. As you can see, this is like an anime version of Zelda, and then you have a really cool sort of brawler, battler, more casual game here. It is absolutely sick, the game dev going on at Endless Clouds HQ. Again, these are both games I could see doing fantastically well as mainstream titles. I could go on and on because the list of games on the Superverse right now is easily the most elite list of games in the entire industry, and Super's role to unite as a social layer all of these games together is something that will become exponentially more valuable over time. The true hardcore crypto gaming community is something that every game needs to tap into, and that's why every single game is actually lining up to join in and be a part of this. Super in many ways represents the entire crypto gaming movement, and there's some badass tech coming as well. But I believe the movement itself is bigger than any particular product, and we will see. We'll come back and we'll check on this because, of course, we're all keeping track here. The direction of the Superverse project, I believe, makes it the most important protocol, the most important part of the gaming movement, and it will bootstrap and bolster the most disruptive products in the space. And in the AI category, you can see Render and Akash standing head and shoulders above the rest. Again, category leaders. You can also see AIOZ, something we've covered. It's a little down from where we covered it. We're going to be doing a retrospective where we go look at all the coins we've covered, how they've done, which ones we're going to keep, which ones we're going to cut from our portfolio, because we may have to cut some during this break and sort of concentrate on the absolute highest conviction bets. It's all about concentration and focus and patience. Again, Akash and AIOZ showing you that high quality AI projects are resilient even in this market, for sure. And then memes. I mean, it's been an absolute bloodbath in memes, with very few memes having any success. Of course, this is the nature of memes, and partly why we stay away from them is because they're so reflexive that when it's bad times, it just goes to zero. And when it's good times, it can go to infinity. But my meme basket hasn't really changed. I haven't bought and sold many. However, what I am doing is experimenting with a different style of buying memes, which is that my wife, she loves TikTok. She's always on TikTok, and she's always showing me memes. And so what I'm doing is trying to find very cheaply priced memes that are under 10 million market cap, that actually line up with the memes that she's showing me from TikTok, trying to actually match attention to the meme itself and see how it worked. Now, I've actually had one workout, and I bought it at about 2 million market cap, and it flew. It went absolutely bananas, and it's now at a very, very significant market cap. And so, as I've told you guys, I'm pretty bad at this meme stuff. It's not something that I consider myself an expert on. I'm just trying to point you guys towards super high quality stuff, but I'm sharpening my teeth, and I'm trying to become an absolute killer at this so that I can create a method that is somewhat repeatable valuable for you all. And if I can't do it, we'll just throw it out the window and we'll focus on the high quality stuff in gaming where my heart truly is. And of course, AI. But let's see if I can't do it. Now, before I end today's episode, I want to let you guys know that something new is coming. I'm actually working on a total reimagination of my content, something that will change the way that I interact with you guys, the world. Really, it'll change probably the perception of EllioTrades as a content creator, but I think it's utterly necessary. I'm possessed with a vision of how I want to create content in the future. So I'm saying this, one, to let you guys know that's coming, but two, of course, if you have any skills in the LA area, if you've managed sort of viral, mainstream, successful YouTube channels, helping with publishing and strategy, if you're a producer, you know how to set up sets, lighting, whatever it might be, if you have any skills at creating all kinds of cool content, no matter where you are in that operation, please do hop into Wagey Farm. The link is in the description, t.me/Wagey Farm, and go ahead and drop a line. We can set up a chat through there. Okay, before I sign off here, it's Future Elliot again. I just wanted to say, look, the beginning of this liquidity cycle, the reignition of the meme stock investing movement, which captured the hearts and minds of so many, I think it'll be even more potent, more powerful, more relevant now that everyone has seen Dumb Money on Netflix. I mean, that really catapulted this guy to an entirely new level to those who weren't participating in the GameStop or AMC short squeeze movement. And remember, Wall Street does not play fair. They will stop this movement in its tracks on traditional exchanges like NASDAQ, like New York Stock Exchange, and all that attention, all that pent up anger, excitement, but mostly the attention and liquidity will flow into the crypto space. As you know where I'm betting. AI, gaming, and memes, thems are the categories, and I'll be bringing you a ton more coverage. So never get too complacent, never flip too bearish here in crypto land. That's why I've been tweeting like a madman, always bullish, never changing my stance, because I know how quickly this market can absolutely nuke upwards at any given moment. In my opinion, these markets, they really want to go up. And I have something very, very exciting coming for you guys in the next few months. So prepare for that. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash that like button, get ready for the next one popping up right here. I'm not sure what will pop up, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.